Clearly, as you now know, following my initial early remarks, there was erroneous information being put out in social media, and I was very concerned that the information being put out was inciting violence. And as many of you know, a group gathered at the scene of where the shooting took place. Rocks, bottles, in some instances a water cooler were hurled at the officers, so it became very violent. And so I knew how important it was to get this out to the viewing and listening community. So I'm going to go through the facts as we know it right now. Again, I stressed it, we're still very early in this investigation, but we have enough to move forward. So again, at 12:35 this afternoon, units from the 12th Precinct and Gang Intelligence arrested a Darnell Sylvester on an active federal DEA arrest warrant for drug distribution. Mr. Sylvester was being arrested without resistance. And when we go through the videos, I will point out Mr. Sylvester and certainly Mr. Littleton, who is the suspect who was fatally shot. A second individual, Hakeem Littleton, was not being arrested, but was present as well, and you'll see that in the video. As officers were taking Mr. Sylvester into custody, Mr. Littleton began to reach in his left cargo pants pocket. Again, as we play the video several times, you will see that. A witness at the scene told investigators that Mr. Littleton stated, and I'm not going to say it in the exact verbiage, but basically that you're not going to take my man. In other words, the interpretation is take him into custody. He then drew a handgun from his left pocket. Mr. Littleton then fired a shot at one of our police officers at close range, narrowly missing him. Now, when you see the video, I would estimate that the suspect was probably 2, at most 3 feet from the officer. You also see that as Mr. Littleton raised the gun in his left hand, he was pointing directly at the head of the officer. At this junction, we believe that 3 officers returned fire, and you will see that in the video. Mr. Littleton continued firing his weapon even as he was on the ground. Officers have recovered 4 casings at the scene consistent with the weapon possessed by Mr. Littleton. So I want to show you the weapon that he was armed with, because you won't be able to see this in the video. This is a .25 caliber blue steel semi-automatic pistol. Again, this investigation is in its early stages, but this information has come directly from body-worn cameras of some of the involved officers, as well as an in-dash camera from our DPD scouts. Now, I will play 3 videos. Now, I think what's remarkable as we go through, and we'll stop so that there's clarity, but 8 shots fired in 5 seconds. 8 shots fired in 5 seconds. 4 fired by 3 officers. 1 officer fired 2 shots. 1 officer fired 1 shot, and another fired 1 single shot. And then 4 shots fired by the suspect. So again, we're going to run the first video, which is a dash cam video. The second video is from, again, body-worn camera. And because of the speed of the video, we think it's critically important that we then, this same body-worn camera video, we're going to play that in what we call slow motion, so that you can, it's not as clear as a normal speed, but you will be able to see what I'm describing. So with that, we can play video 1. So stop here for a moment. So what you see here, police cars coming up on the scene. There were a total of 4 scouts in the area. Police officers getting up. The gentleman wearing the white T-shirt was the focus of their investigation. He was the individual being arrested. Okay, you can start it again. Puts his hands up. He doesn't offer any resistance. Now stop right here. He's on his knees. The individual in the orange T-shirt standing very close to where his associate is Mr. Littleton. Okay, you can roll it again. Yep. Can we back up because it came up a little quicker? So at some point, you just back up to the point where I described he reached. So he's got his hands up. He reaches in his left pocket. As you can see, he's leaning down. He right at this point pulls out a gun and he fires directly at the officer. We believe, based on our investigation, at that point he fired 2 shots in quick succession. This officer is a hero. Even though he was being fired upon, he did not have his gun out at that time, and he pursued this individual. And if you could roll the tape. He goes and holds him down. We believe as he was going to the ground, the suspect, Mr. Littleton, fired 2 additional shots. In our investigation, we have recovered, again, 4 spent casings. The first 2, where you saw him in an upright position, there were 2 casings found in close proximity. And then at the point where he's gone down because the officer pursued him, was trying to stop him or stop the threat, 2 additional shots were fired. And that's when the other officers fired shots. So this is the view again from inside of a police vehicle. Let's go to video 2. And again, video 2, is it, can we, was that video 2? No, this is the slow, no, video 2, not the slow-mo. Video 2 at the normal speed. Start. Okay, this is, now this is in a regular speed. You can see where, can we play this video one more time because I want.
You want the first video at regular speed?
No, video 2 in the regular speed. You think that would help some?
Yeah, we'd
Okay.
like to see it in its entirety, Chief, if you don't mind.
This is the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Hmm? I know, I didn't.
The next one's the slow motion speed.
Okay, can we play this? This is the same body-worn camera video, just in slow motion. Slow motion. Stop right there. So at this point, this is where he reached out and pulled the blue steel semi-automatic pistol out of his pocket. Okay, continue. He raises his left hand, stop, 1 shot, you can see the smoke coming from the muzzle. Continue. Second shot, the officer, as he runs away, is trying to gain control. 2 shots are fired at some point while he's still in a semi, not upright, and that's where we found the 2 additional casings. Would anyone like to see that video one more time? Would that be helpful?
Can we see the whole thing off the top, Chief?
And just run through it?
Yeah,
Okay.
just let it run clear through.
Okay, let's just go through.
Can you turn the lights off? The lights be turned off?
You know, I'm not. So at this point, as he's going down, he is still actively firing his weapon. And this is when the additional officers engaged him. But I just want to make note, as you can see in the video, that the officer who was initially fired upon showed tremendous courage in pursuing an armed suspect who clearly fired 2 shots in his direction. And it's simply a miracle that he wasn't struck in the head. We don't know how close, because he was aiming the pistol. As you can see, once he raised his arm, because you just stop the vehicle right there. And you can see the officer 2 to 3 feet away, aimed directly at his head, but a miracle he wasn't struck by gunfire. We believe he may have been hit at this time again. A total of 4 shots were fired by officers, a total of 4 shots fired by the suspect.